Have you ever noticed how people thousands of years ago, without smartphones, satellites, or artificial intelligence, still ask the same deep questions we struggle with today? Ancient civilizations didn't just build temples and empires. They built frameworks for understanding life, suffering, purpose, and consciousness itself. What's fascinating is that these cultures were separated by geography and time, yet they arrived at strikingly similar spiritual conclusions. In this video, we're uncovering 10 spiritual truths that repeatedly appeared across ancient civilizations. Ideas so powerful that they survived wars, collapses, and centuries of change. These aren't myths or vague beliefs. They're grounded observations about human nature, reality, and inner growth. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll start seeing modern life and yourself through a very different lens. For one, everything is connected. Ancient civilizations didn't see the world as fragmented the way we often do today. They understood reality as an interconnected system where nature, humanity, and the cosmos constantly influence one another. In ancient Egypt, this idea appeared through Ma'at, the belief that balance, order, and harmony held the universe together. In ancient India, it emerged through the concept of Brahman, the underlying unity behind all forms. This wasn't poetic thinking, it was observation. They noticed how seasons affect crops, emotions affect decisions, and actions ripple through communities. When something falls out of balance, consequences follow, internally and externally. This worldview encouraged responsibility, mindfulness, and respect for life. You weren't separate from the world, you were participating in it. That belief alone shaped how people treated nature, relationships, and even their own thoughts. Number 2, the self is more than the body. Ancient cultures consistently viewed human beings as layered, not limited to flesh and bone. Egyptians believed in multiple aspects of the self: the body, the personality, the life force, and the eternal essence. In ancient India, the Upanishads described the Atman, an inner self untouched by age or death. These ideas weren't escapism. They were built on lived experience, dreams, intuition, moral awareness, and the sense that consciousness observes the body rather than being trapped inside it. This perspective changed how people lived. If identity extended beyond the physical form, then character mattered more than appearance, and long-term consequences mattered more than short-term pleasure. Life wasn't reduced to survival alone. It became a journey of inner development, responsibility, and continuity beyond one lifetime. 3. Inner balance creates outer harmony. Ancient civilizations understood that chaos in the world often begins with imbalance within individuals. In Greece, thinkers like ancient Greece emphasized moderation and self-control as the foundation of a good life. In Chinese philosophy, harmony between opposing forces was seen as essential for health, society, and nature. This wasn't abstract philosophy, it was practical. Emotional extremes led to poor decisions. Moral imbalance created social instability. Physical imbalance caused illness. Ancient wisdom taught that when thoughts, actions, and values align, life naturally stabilizes. You didn't fix the world first, you stabilized yourself. This idea encouraged discipline, self-awareness, and reflection. Instead of blaming external forces for suffering, people were taught to examine where imbalance existed inside them. That approach remains powerful, especially in a modern world driven by constant stimulation and emotional overload. 4. Desire is the source of human suffering. Across multiple ancient traditions, uncontrolled desire was identified as a primary cause of suffering. In early Buddhist teachings from ancient India, attachment was seen as the root of dissatisfaction, not desire itself, but the inability to let go. Ancient philosophers observed how craving for status, possessions, or validation created anxiety and conflict. The more people chased fulfillment externally, the more restless they became. This wasn't anti-ambition, it was about awareness. Desires were natural, but allowing them to control behavior led to instability. Ancient teachings encouraged discernment, knowing which desires strengthen life and which quietly drain it. When people learned to limit excess wanting, they experienced clarity and peace. This insight still applies today, especially in consumer-driven cultures that profit from keeping people perpetually unsatisfied. Chapter 5: Silence is a Path to Truth. Ancient societies placed enormous value on silence, stillness, and inner observation. In Egyptian mystery schools and Indian yogic traditions, silence was not emptiness. It was a tool. They understood that constant noise blurs perception. When the mind settles, deeper awareness emerges. This wasn't spiritual fantasy. It was experiential knowledge. People noticed that insight appears when distractions fade, decisions become clearer, emotional reactions soften, truth surfaces without force. Silence allowed individuals to observe their own thoughts rather than being controlled by them. Ancient teachers didn't rush wisdom, they waited for it. That patience is largely missing today, where information is constant, but understanding is rare. These civilizations believed that without moments of quiet reflection, knowledge stays shallow. Silence, in their view, wasn't withdrawal from life. It was preparation to engage with it wisely. 6. Death is a transition, not an end. Ancient civilizations rarely viewed death as annihilation. Instead, it was seen as transformation. Egyptians designed elaborate burial practices because they believed consciousness continued beyond physical life. In Greek philosophy, thinkers like Plato describe the soul as something that moves through different states of existence. These beliefs shaped how people lived. If life continued in another form, then actions carried lasting significance. Fear of death decreased, while responsibility increased. This perspective also reduced obsession with material accumulation. Temporary things lost their grip when permanence was placed elsewhere. Importantly, this wasn't blind belief. It was rooted in observations of cycles everywhere: seasons, birth and decay, sleep and waking. Death followed the same pattern. Ancient cultures saw endings not as failures, but as transitions within a much larger process of existence. Chapter 7: Moral law governs the universe. Ancient societies believed the universe operated under an ethical structure, not randomness. In Egypt, Mayat represented truth, justice, and cosmic order. In India, karma expressed the principle that actions produce consequences over time. These ideas weren't about punishment, they were about cause and effect. People observed that harmful actions eventually destabilize individuals and societies, while ethical behavior creates trust and continuity. Moral law wasn't enforced only by authorities, it was woven into reality itself. This belief encouraged personal accountability. Even when no one was watching, actions still mattered. Ancient civilizations used this framework to promote social cohesion and individual integrity. It reminded people that shortcuts and exploitation eventually collapse. The universe, in their view, remembers everything, if not immediately, then inevitably. Chapter 8: Knowledge without wisdom is dangerous. Ancient civilizations respected knowledge, but they feared knowledge without moral grounding. Greek philosophers warned that intelligence divorced from ethics leads to arrogance and destruction. In Eastern traditions, wisdom was considered superior to raw information. This distinction mattered. Knowledge could build tools or weapons. Wisdom decided how they were used. Ancient teachers emphasized character development alongside learning. Self-awareness, humility, and restraint were seen as safeguards against misuse of power. This concern feels especially relevant today, as technological capability advances faster than ethical maturity. Ancient cultures understood that progress without wisdom destabilizes societies. They didn't reject innovation, they demanded responsibility. True advancement, in their view, occurred when knowledge served life, rather than dominating it. Chapter 9: The present moment is sacred. Ancient spiritual traditions repeatedly emphasized the importance of the present moment. While planning and memory had value, they were not meant to dominate awareness. In Eastern philosophies, attention anchored in the present was considered essential for clarity and peace. The reasoning was simple: the past no longer exists, and the future is uncertain, but life happens now. Ancient practitioners noticed that anxiety lives in imagined futures, and regret lives in recalled pasts. Presence restores balance. This teaching encouraged mindfulness long before modern psychology studied it. Living fully in the present sharpened perception, improved relationships, and reduced unnecessary suffering. The present moment wasn't just practical, it was sacred. It was the only point where intention, action, and awareness could align. 10. The greatest journey is inward. Ancient civilizations believed the most important exploration wasn't across land or sea, but within the self. Greek thinkers urged self-knowledge as the foundation of wisdom. Indian sages emphasized inner inquiry as the path to liberation. These cultures understood that external success means little without internal clarity. Power, wealth, and status couldn't compensate for unresolved fear, ignorance, or ego. The inward journey required honesty, discipline, and courage. It meant confronting uncomfortable truths rather than escaping them. Ancient teachings framed self-mastery as the highest achievement. When people understood themselves, they acted with intention instead of impulse. This insight remains timeless. Mastery of the inner world shapes how we experience the outer one. Across continents and centuries, ancient civilizations left us more than ruins. They left us insight. These 10 spiritual truths remind us that progress isn't just external, and wisdom doesn't expire with time. Connection, balance, self-awareness, responsibility, and presence are not outdated ideas, they're foundations. When applied consciously, they reshape how we live, think, and relate to the world. If this ancient wisdom resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on which truth stood out most. Share your thoughts in the comments, like the video if it added value, and subscribe for more content that bridges timeless knowledge with modern life. This conversation doesn't end here, it's just beginning.